I moved across the country for my fiancée. Now I sleep with a chair wedged against the door. I met Elena at a photography workshop in Portland. We both shot abandoned buildings, both hated cilantro, both collected vintage maps. After 3 weekends exploring rusted factories together, I was already browsing apartments in her city. Then, after 8 months, I transferred my entire job to be near her. There was just one problem. She treated every stranger like they were casing our apartment. She'd freeze when men walked behind us, insist we take rideshares instead of buses, and refuse to visit my new place until I installed a video doorbell and window sensors. At first, I thought her fear was heightened because I was still earning her trust. But one afternoon, we were developing photos in her darkroom when a car backfired 3 blocks away. The second the sound hit, she shoved me behind the enlarger and crouched over me, trembling, until I coaxed her back to breathing. Every time I mentioned counseling, she turned away, saying I couldn't possibly understand, but watching her spiral was destroying me. I decided I needed answers, and maybe then I could actually protect her. I started with our workshop friends. We'd all bonded over urban exploration, though we rarely saw each other outside the monthly meetups. The woman who'd introduced us, Mara, ran a small gallery downtown. The next time I passed her window, I ducked inside and suggested coffee. The moment we settled at a corner table, I leaned in and asked, "Do you know anything about Elena's past? Something that would explain her paranoia." Mara set down her cup. "You're Elena, from the darkroom sessions. She's terrified of everything when we're alone, but she won't tell me why. Did she mention anything?" Mara stirred her latte slowly. "I barely knew her before I suggested you two team up on that warehouse shoot. You should really talk to Julian. He's the one who told me she kept asking about you." I felt the room tilt. I thought we'd been paired randomly, two strangers with compatible schedules. Why had Elena manufactured that? But I pressed forward. "What was she like when you first met her?" Mara considered, then shrugged. "Intense about her work, but not frightened. Definitely not the wreck you're describing." She changed the subject, but my mind snagged on her words. Elena was only broken around me. Had she performed differently from Mara? That evening, I found Julian at his studio in the arts district. He looked up from his light table when I entered, and his smile faded when I locked the door behind me. "Hey, I need to ask you something. Does Elena seem frightened when she's here developing prints?" He leaned back, confused. "Frightened? No, she's focused. Competitive, even. Why?" My thoughts scattered. Did Elena shift personalities for Julian too? What was I triggering? I pressed my palms against my eyes. That's exactly my question. She's constantly terrified when we're together, but apparently she's completely functional around everyone else. Is it me? Julian's expression shifted, something careful entering his voice. "Unless you've done something specific, I doubt you're the cause. Elena actually orchestrated your meeting entirely. She found out Mara and I were in the same photography collective and hounded me for 2 weeks to arrange that warehouse session. She was oddly determined for someone who claimed to be shy." My stomach turned to ice. The pieces refused to fit. My phone buzzed against my thigh, Elena's name appearing with a message asking me to come by her loft after my shift. I stopped at her favorite bakery on the way, hoping the almond croissants might soften whatever darkness was coming. The second I unlocked her door with the key she'd insisted I take, I saw her standing in the amber darkroom light with her shoulders rigid and her jaw set tight. She asked why I'd been at Mara's gallery that afternoon. I admitted I'd been seeking advice about us, keeping the details vague. Something in her posture unlocked. I watched her face transform from barely contained rage to the tender vulnerability I recognized, the switch happening so fast I almost doubted what I'd seen. She suddenly thanked me for the pastries and suggested we order dinner. My throat tightened when I said that sounded perfect, but I needed the bathroom first. The moment I stepped into the hallway, my skin prickled with wrongness. Every instinct screamed to flee, though I couldn't name the threat. I found myself bypassing the bathroom entirely, drifting into her bedroom as if pulled by static electricity. That's when I noticed the leather-bound journal on her nightstand, her initials embossed in gold. A desperate hope flared that this might finally reveal her wounds so I could heal them. I was catastrophically mistaken. The first entry dated to 18 months before we met, when I'd apparently held an elevator door at a conference she attended and she decided I was her missing piece. The subsequent pages cataloged my movements, my preferences, my family history, my therapy records from college. There was an entire section analyzing my childhood evacuation from a house fire, detailing how Elena had studied arson investigation techniques to manufacture scenarios where I'd need to rescue her, since she knew I'd been helpless to save my childhood dog from the smoke. I barricaded the bedroom door with her filing cabinet and escaped through the second-story window, dropping into the alley and running 6 blocks before I could breathe enough to call emergency services. I kept checking the shadows between buildings, certain Elena would emerge from every doorway with that smile that now looked exactly like the one she'd worn while describing her fabricated traumas.